Feast your eyes, everyone, because I've got in my hands the famed Samsung Galaxy Nexus for Verizon. What makes this phone really stand out is that it's the first phone on a US network to run Android's ice cream sandwich operating system. I'm Jessica Dalcourt for CNET, and here's your first look. So we've had the unlocked version of this phone in our clutches for about a month now, and they both run on a 1.2 gigahertz dual-core processor. They both take 1080p HD video, and they both have a 5 megapixel camera and a 1.3 megapixel front-facing camera. There are a few things that make it different on Verizon though. First, it runs on Verizon's 4G LTE network, and before we used a T-Mobile SIM card on the unlocked phone. Second, this version has 1 gigabyte of RAM and 32 gigabytes of internal memory, where the unlocked version has only 16 gigabytes. Third, there are Verizon's apps pre-installed. And if you don't like those apps, then a new feature in Ice Cream Sandwich lets you hide the icons, but keep in mind that you still won't be able to completely uninstall any preloaded apps. Other than that, you're going to find the pure Google experience. So Ice Cream Sandwich, the pure Google experience, is the phone's real draw. The operating system adds a ton of new features, like a brand new interface for almost every app, a new menu button within the apps instead of the dedicated menu button down below, and the ability to drag and drop to create folders right on your screen. Plus, there's panorama in the camera app and some basic editing tools, and there's NFC technology and the ability to beam information from one compatible phone to another. For more on the new operating system and Android Beam, and believe me, there's a lot more, check out my other videos on cnettv.com. Now on to the phone's actual design. The hardware is known for its high-definition Super AMOLED display, and indeed it shows off really lush colors and a high amount of detail. The screen is a whopping 4.65 inches, but since the only controls are now part of the screen and not part of the bezel below the display, then the screen still essentially has the dimensions of a 4.5-inch screen that you're used to. Do you see the slight curve in the screen? That's another detail that the Galaxy Nexus has, just like the Nexus S before it. It's meant to hug your cheek better when you hold the phone to your ear, and while it is an interesting design feature, I have to say to me it doesn't make much of a perceptible difference when I'm actually using the phone. There's a sort of a rubberized material on the back cover that Samsung calls Hyperskin, and it feels pretty good. The device is also very thin and very light. In fact, it's so light that it is a little bit on the breakable feeling side if you're not careful. I accidentally dropped the unlocked version, and the back cover has really never been the same since. The phone, I should say, it's a little bit thicker. It's 0.2 of an inch thicker than the unlocked version, and that's to accommodate the LTE technology. For cameras, the Galaxy Nexus takes 5 megapixel shots, and while it does produce some good photos, it's also pretty clear that this is not Samsung's best camera out there. Colors were a little off in some photos, and other photos weren't as crisp as I wanted. Considering that there are other really great 8 megapixel Samsung cameras, like on the Galaxy S2 for example, this one here is a little bit of a disappointment. Still, it does take good shots overall, and there is the 1080p HD video. There's also that front-facing camera for video chats. Now I did mention NFC on here, which means that Android Beam will work. Tapping your phone to pay for items is another main draw with NFC, but for unknown reasons, Verizon has ixnayed Google Wallet, so you can't pay with the phone using Google's own software solution, at least not yet anyway. The Galaxy Nexus costs $299.99 on Verizon, which is the same price as other premium phones like the HTC Resound and the Motorola Droid Razr. It's a great phone with a great screen, really fast speeds, and the latest and greatest Android OS. Still, the camera doesn't blow away the competition, and even though there is a ton of internal storage, a microSD card slot would let you expand it to 64 gigabytes. I'm Jessica Dalcourt for CNET. You can read my full review of Verizon's Samsung Galaxy Nexus on cnet.com.